Hello there gorgeous gamers, and welcome back to Pure Play TV for another video review. And this time we're looking at Unto the End, which is out now for PS4, Xbox One, PC and Nintendo Switch. It's also playable via backwards compatibility on PS5 and Xbox Series XS, and the version we've tested is the PS4 version running on PS5, and a code was provided by the publisher. It didn't take me long to understand that Unto the End was going to be different, very different. From the early glowing press to the disclaimer at the beginning of the game, I knew this had a chance to be special, and it absolutely lived up to my expectations. Unto the End is brought to us by a two-person team, 2 Ton Studio. They were inspired by their own real-life excursions and wanted Unto the End to feel less like a game and more like one of their adventures. The beautiful hand-drawn world and the haunting and engrossing sound creates a remarkable atmosphere. With no HUD to guide you, the only thing on the screen is you and the intricately drawn world that is both beautiful in its simplicity and terrifyingly realistic. The snowy landscape and dark caverns mix only with the sound of your footsteps, the howling of the wind, and the sound of the horrifying creatures that are always lurking, but usually just out of sight. It manages to keep you feeling both extremely tense and somehow lonely at the same time. Before we carry on with this video, please do us a favour and hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, as well as the bell icon so that you're the first to know when we've got new stuff. Cheers my dears. When these creatures do appear on the screen, you'll be treated with a punishing sword-based combat unlike just about anything you've ever played. The Souls-like Sultan Sanctuary, another fantastic hand-drawn indie game, is known for some difficult combat, but in that game you fought through levels of average to easy foes until you faced off against a boss that seemed impossible to beat. Of course, that was until you memorised its patterns and moves. In Unto the End, almost every enemy is crushingly difficult. You aren't memorising techniques or patterns, instead you're reading and reacting to your enemy's every move. For a 2D side-scroller, the combat here is surprisingly complex and punishing. You can block high, block low, duck, jump, dodge roll, shoulder charge, and lots more. You can even fake a high attack, causing your opponent to flinch and leave them vulnerable to a low attack, and vice versa. No matter what attack the monster across from you tries, one of those options is the answer. In fact, the developer suggests that every enemy in the game can be killed in as little as 2 or 3 blows. This baffles my silly little mind because some of my hardest fought battles, I needed to hit them so many times I lost count. The fighting mechanic is utterly unique to me and offers possibly one of the most rewarding adventures in recent memory. It's a mechanic that not only discourages button mashing, it punishes it. It forces you to stay calm so you can read your opponent and then perform precisely the counter-attack that will work. I died so many times because I pressed the button to attack more than once. If the enemy blocks your first attack and you've already pressed the button for the second, you'll be exposed, and these things don't miss. What's really cool here is that there are more than one way to defeat these things, but there are also a million ways to die. The problem is that each of the monsters is as deadly and as smart as you. If not smarter. It is reacting to you and you need to react to it. In less than a second, you'll need to decide if it is telegraphing a low or a high attack. Is it a combo or a single strike? It does have a combat assist mode that slows enemy attacks, giving the player more time to read and react during fights. But I used this mode most of the time and it was still incredibly difficult for me. During one of the many frustrating combat sequences, I would inevitably check the settings to see if it switched back to regular mode. Unfortunately, it never did. It was always in the easy mode and still kicking my ass. But I'm old and I don't react as fast as I once did. Your mileage may vary to a degree. While at times it's frustrating, I love how the combat is fantastically simple and yet so hard to master. When it is mastered, it's actually quite beautiful to watch, almost like a choreographed fight scene straight out of a Hollywood movie. The flip side, of course, is that mastering this is going to take forever. I could seriously make a 2-hour video review showing only me dying over and over and over and over again. I will probably never master this combat, but my goal is to get good enough that through trial and error, I hope to see the end of the game someday. That's right, I haven't finished the game, so I can't tell you how long it is, or if the ending pays off the emotional, simple storytelling. If the swordplay and 2D hand-drawn world bears some resemblance to Scar Studios' Salt and Sanctuary, then the stripped-down storytelling may remind you of Playdead's fantastic Alone, or its follow-up, Inside. All three of them managed to tell a story that I couldn't take my eyes off, with little more than sights and sounds. The emotions and weight of the story are told without words because they aren't needed. You know you are a regular man who wants nothing more than to return home to his wife and son. You're outmatched and outnumbered in a world that is dark and full of terrors. You're constantly reminded through your playthrough that your character is just a regular man. Your heavy breathing during combat, or the fact that you will drop your sword if you're stunned and will literally fall to your knees when you are bleeding and tired. You are not a superhuman descendant of Eld destined to return the world to order. You need to stay calm, stay precise, or you will die. As I said before, there is no HUD, but there is a minimalist menu screen. Scattered throughout the world, you'll find campsites where you can heal up and craft certain items. As you scavenge the land and your victims, you can use the bones, leather, sticks and herbs that you find to create tonics and improve your armour at these campsites. Here you can craft torches and daggers if you manage to lose them. You can also get some much needed combat practice using a flashback scene with your wife as your son keeps score. It's actually a really cool feature that manages to teach you how to play and helps tell the story. While I think the combat difficulty will deter casual gamers, I predict Unto the End will be a critical smash hit. Gamers looking for a challenge amidst an engaging story in a hauntingly beautiful world should flock to this game, and I think they will. Don't let me down. And that's the end of this review. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you did, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and give the bell a little tickle, so that you're the first to know when we've got new stuff for you to watch. I've been Chris, you've been lovely, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, bye!